Welcome to All About Videography. My name is Godox Levy. Today I would like to introduce you to the Godox ML60. Let me start by saying the ML60 is a very small light packed with a lot of power, and the build quality on this thing is a top notch. It is a COB LED portable light that can work with batteries and an external power supply. Did I mention how small it is? Just to give you an indication, it has a smaller footprint than the Sokani X60. Now, in this review, I will go over all the functions and features this light has. I will point out the positives and the negatives. And last, I will put it to the test and compare it to the Godox SL60 output. So, specifications. It is rated max of 60 watts, CRI is 96, TLCI is 97. It weighs less than 1 kilogram without the grip. Brightness is 69,000 lux from half a meter. Dimming range is 0 to 100%. Color temperature is 5600 plus minus 200 K. It has 8 effects and it has 16 groups, 32 channels, and 99 IDs. Now the ML60 comes in a rigid foam carrying case. It is sturdy case that has reinforcement all over. There's a strap reinforcement to the carrying belt that wraps the case sides and bottom. Patch protection to all the bottom corners of the case. Even the side handles are reinforced with a long strap that starts from the bottom of the case. Now, if we turn the case upside down, we will find that we have 4.5-inch risers to ensure that the case does not touch the surface. On top of the lid, we have 2 straps with a Velcro to carry additional gear like an umbrella, softbox, or even a stand. Inside of the case, we have a pouch with a zipper, and also we have 2 straps to hold the lid from flipping backward. If you want to flip the lid backward, all you need to do is open those 2 buckles and you can flip it. Inside of the carrying case, there are 4 compartments with 3 detachable dividers. In the case, you will find the light itself, reflector, battery case, grip, power supply, small DC cable, long DC cable, carrying belt, and a power supply holder. Now the remote control is not included, but it is optional. I will talk about it more later in the video. So Godox took their time to think out each of the components that came with this ML60. Let's go over each of the components, design, and functionality, starting with the handle grip. So the handle grip feels solid and comfortable in the hand. Connecting it to the light is very quick, and it's also very secure. It does not whisk, it does not bend, it does not get loose, and that is because of the rubbery surface and 2 anchors at the base of the mount. Now the adjustable locking mechanism is superb. The light does not move or tilt. It looks like Godox did their homework and learned from their not that good SL60 locking mechanism, so kudos to Godox. Also on the light mount, you will find an umbrella mount with a lash inside to hold the umbrella from sliding out. Last, at the bottom of the grip, there is a stand holder. Next is the battery holder. It has 2 battery trays, a battery quick release, a battery level indicator. Now, if you want to check the battery level, all you need to do is press the quick release and hold it in. Also, we have a swivel leg on the battery holder to balance the battery holder if you want it to stand on a surface. At the back, we have a belt clip, so if you feel that the rig is too heavy, you have the choice to dismount the battery holder from the grip and clip it to your belt with the provided longer DC cable so you could distribute the weight. Above the clip, we have 3 stud holes to mount the battery holder to the grip. You will need to align the studs to the hole, push forward and downward. Now, there is a quick release at the top of the battery holder. Just move it forward and push the battery holder upward to release it from the grip. Now the power cable has a secure locking mechanism, so all you need to do is push it into the battery holder and twist, and it's gonna stay locked. Moving to the reflector. The reflector has a diamond cut design that helps to intensify the light output. Overall, the build quality is pretty good. The only thing is the mount is made of plastic, and I assume Godox did it to save weight for the overall rig weight. Now the reflector does not shake or rattle, but it has some free play, but you won't hear anything. Last on the list will be the power supply and power supply holder. Now, I cannot stress enough to use the power supply holder with this kind of DC input. I managed to break twice on a job the DC input on the both version of the Sokani X60, so I would suggest using that, especially if you are on a gig. Also, Godox was very generous with the length of the power supply cable. So next on this review will be the battery runtime. I measured an hour and a half in full intensity with two big Sony batteries. As far as the light output with the battery, there is no restriction, and the light output stays the same until the battery drains completely. Something to mention, after the light died completely, the display showed 100% and the fan was on. I also find the battery indicator inaccurate, but maybe it is with this specific battery brands that I have. It might not happen with different batteries. Going over the light, the build quality is a top notch. It is all metal, but to the control housing, at the top we have the fan air duct and the reflector quick release latch. There are vents for heat dissipation at the bottom and by the COB chip. At the light base we have a thread mount with two grooves for the grip light. On the back you will find a display, a set dial, a dimmer dial, an on-off button, a DC input. The display shows a connectivity symbol, channel and group indicator, and a dimmer intensity percentage. To enter the setting, click on the setting dial and turn the dial to navigate. To change the parameters, use the dimmer dial. In the setting, you can set the channels, group, and ID. You can turn on and off the effects, connectivity, and fan. Now, to go through the effects, turn on the effects and use the dimmer dial to go through the effects styles. Now, on the menu, there is ID. It took me a while to figure out what it is for. So, this light does not come with a remote control, but if you have a Godox remote control that has ID in the menu, you can sync it to work with this light. Right now I'm using the Godox light stick remote control and it works perfectly. I can dim the light and I can turn off and on the light. So now let's talk about the accessory mount. The mount is Godox proprietary mount. I assume they decide not to go with the bowl mount to keep the small form factor of the ML60. For example, look at the Sokani X60. If you didn't have the handle and the bowl mount, it would probably be as small as the Godox ML60. Now the good news, you can convert the ML60 with the Godox converter and use your existing bow mount accessories. In my opinion, it was a smart move by Godox. Now if you want to stick with this small form factor, Godox offer a line of accessories for this mount. They offer softbox, barn doors, gels, grids, and even a snoot. Next is the fan. There is an option to turn off the fan, but keep in mind when you turn off the fan, regardless if it's working on batteries or power supply, the max intensity drops to 50%. Fan noise. The fan is noiseless from 3 feet, even 2 feet, even a 1 feet. I mean, I could hear the ghost more than I could hear the fan on this light. Now, I had concern regarding how well the heat dissipation on the ML60. I know for sure that the light output of the ML60 is identical to the SL60, but the SL60 is 100 times noisier than the ML60. You can really hear the fan spinning on the SL60. So I wonder if Godox, besides putting an extra quiet fan on the ML60, also reduced the fan RPM more than they should have to get it so quiet. And if they did, it's probably going to affect the COB longevity. So what made me think about it is because there is no temperature gauge on their new VL lights and not on this one. And they do have on the SL line. So I measured both lights, COB heatsinks with the thermal gauge gun. The SL COB heatsinks measure 95 Fahrenheit, but the display showed 107 Fahrenheit. So I assume it is the internal heat measurements on the display. With the ML60, I got 93 to 95 Fahrenheit on the COB heatsinks. Then I measured the shell itself and the inside of the ML60 through the shell vents, and I got 98 to 103 Fahrenheit. So it looks like Godox did not jeopardize the quality and longevity of the ML60 COB for the sake of a quieter fan noise. Now, as far as the light output, it is rated 69,000 lux. With a reflector, just keep in mind that the reflector has a big part in it, and it will not be fair to compare it to any light unless both lights are measured with the same reflector. I measured both the SL60 and the ML60 intensity without a reflector, and I pretty much got the same numbers. Now, Godox claims 69,000 lux from half a meter, and I got max of 67,000 lux. From 6 feet away with a reflector, I got 3,781 lux. Now, 60 watts is bright light. You will be able to use it easily with a large softbox. You can also take advantage of the 0 to 100% brightness to use it as an accent light and even hide it in a small space. Again, we need to remember that even though it is small light, it is still output 60 watts, which is a lot if you don't use any kind of a diffuser, especially with this type of a reflector design. You will find that the light is much hotter in the middle than the edge. So if you plan on using this light for talking heads, then definitely get a softbox or an umbrella or any diffuser, or just bounce it against a white surface. Bottom line, it is not a cheap light by any means, but you get a lot for the money. First off, the light build quality is the best I saw from Godox. It is even better than the VL line build quality in my opinion. It has an advanced control, and I'm not talking about the effects. I'm talking about turning off and on the fan and the adapting of any remote control that has ID functions in the menu. It comes in a nice carrying case. On top of that, it is run and gun battery operated light with a very well designed battery holder, and it outputs 60 watts for about an hour and a half. As much as I know, there's nothing out there with the same form factor that can do the same. And that's about it. There will be a link to this light in the description. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider subscribing to this channel to see more detailed video as this one. Don't forget to click on the notification bell and the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.